And this week Saturday we see Yosef Asadik says two things. Ani Yosef Oid Ovichai. What does that mean, Ani Yosef Oid Ovichai? All the Sforim talk about it. The Yosef told Musa to Yehuda. Yosef told Yehuda, you were worried about the Tsar of Yaakov Avinu because of Binyamin. How did you sell me 22 years ago? How did you put me into the boar? How did you shecht seizim? How did you take my clothing, sonis pasim, and you told Yaakov Avinu, Chai roch halosu? How did you do it, Azazach? How were you capable and managing of doing something like that, of saying lies, putting me in the boar, and selling me to Mitzrayim and Midyonim and everything? I was 10 years in jail, 12 years in jail, and I went through Gehenna, and Eshet Potiphar came out to me every single day, drove me up the wall, wanted me to do Aveyas and everything. How did you sell me? How did you put me in the boar? I'm your brother. Why did Yosef HaTzadik be Messiah's brothers so much in order to be Mamait, in order to take away the biggest Aveyah, which was Goyniv Ishim B'chorev V'nimse B'yoda Mois Yumos. You sold me, and that caused Asor Ruge Malchus. Yosef HaTzadik specially shepherded his brothers and everything to see if Judah will do tshuva on this matter. When Yosef saw that Judah wants to turn over Mitzrayim and kill everyone, and he screamed and he shouted, and women were mapil and all sorts was in Mitzrayim. Yosef saw it's going to be a world war in Mitzrayim because he didn't give back Binyamin, and Yosef saw about it. Yosef said two words: "I'm Yosef, Ho'id Ovichai." Yosef made his brothers. He stood them up he stood them up. He fixed the wagon. He told them, Ani Yosef, Ho'id Ovichai. I'm Yosef, which you sold 22 years ago. Is Yaakov Avinu still alive? Of the Tsar, which you verkauft Lokster, and you said that Chayaro Achalosu. Sometimes a person screams at the child, screams at the other guy, gives the other guy Musa, and he himself does the same thing. Let's say a guy reads a newspaper, a dirty newspaper, or let's say a guy watches a video on television. Let's say a guy eats in shul chewing gum. He comes into shul eating chewing gum. He comes into shul wearing sneakers. He comes into shul without socks on, with slippers without socks on. And he's going to him and tells him that's how you come to shul. Shemsech nicht. That's how you come to shul. You don't wear socks. You wear sneakers. You wear sandals. Everyone has to see your nails. And 30 years later, or 10 years later, or 5 years later, the same person does mincha on the beach. He wears also sandals, and he sees his socks, and he doesn't wear socks. Whatever it is, a person is all his life is built on steerers backwards and forwards. The question is, how can you scream to Yena when you do the same thing? How can you scream that Yena eats chewing gum and comes into shul, and Yena doesn't wear this and doesn't wear that, and he wears short pants, and he comes into davening? You yourself do it when you daven mincha in the beach. So our whole life is based on steers. So how can you scream at Yana? That's what Yosef told Yehuda. Yosef told Yehuda, Ani Yosef oido vichai. How can you scream at the other person? How did you do this? How you were scared about the Tsar of Yaakov Avinu, that I'm not giving back Binyamin. Where were you 22 years ago? How did you do the exactly same thing? So Yosef, when Yosef said, Ani Yosef oido vichai, the Medrash says that L'osed Lova HaKadosh Baruch Hu will say, Ani Hashem. What does it mean? Bilam Orosho took a stick and hit his chamor, hit his asoin. For Yiftach Hashem Espi Asoin, and he told Bilam, why do you hit me? Why do you hit me? What are you, a human being? If you're a human being, why do you at night? You come with me and you lie with me. That's what the chamor told Bilam Orosho. Yosef was the youngest of the Shvatim. He screamed at the Shvatim. He told them, you scream at me now because of Binyamin. Where were you 22 years ago? L'osed Lova HaKadosh Baruch Hu will scream at us and tell us, how did you behave like this and this? If and so years later, you do biduk the opposite, which means to say our whole life is built on steerers. When Yosef told the brothers, Ani Yosef oido v'chai, he made the brothers, he fixed the wagon, and he told them, how do you do, Azazach? How do you sell? How did you sell your brother? 22 years ago, when how you worried about the sale of Yaakov Avinu, how were you able to sell me 22 years ago? The Chofetz Chaim says, the Otzet Lovoi, we see problems in the world, wars and milchomos and thousands of problems. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will say two words, Ani Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you were there. You behind all the walls understand everything. When we see HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with us, we don't have any questions, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will also say, Ani Hashem, and all our questions will be answered, and we won't have any questions on anything at all.